Would you like us to stay?
Call that coacher and please ask him to stay.
Kochi Tusker?
Yes, please.
You've dismissed the Kochi Tusker. So
I'm
go on.
sharpening Tuskers.
Both of you stand on the side. When I say jump, you will. Okay?
Like this at the screen.
Extra innings हो गया? अभी match शुरू करें हम? Huh?
All yours, brother. All yours.
In the first few years, these guys solely took the credit for the success of IPL. They said it's only because of us, because those were the days, you know, the K serials of Balaji used to do wonders on television. They said, we have a Kapoor, a Kocher, and there was a Khurana. After that, Khurana took up social work, and he's a big donor these days, and he's doing, at least in public, what these guys do after the games are over. So that's the naughty boys taking credit for the success of IPL. Okay, we'll in case you guys have missed extra innings, this is how typically it is done, unscripted, poor advertisers, but it delivers ratings. So I won't complain. Let them keep doing this a little more. And if extra innings is not on YouTube yet, this is a good reason for you guys to have it back on YouTube. Whoever the decision maker, the powers that be there on this table. You know, when I was asked to come here and speak, these guys are irritatingly perfect. That table. Okay. Do not be Danny Morrison there. Stop talking, give full stops, commas along the way. And I was told Danny Morrison is the Navjot Singh Sidhu of New Zealand, which is great credit, except the fact that more people know about Morrison in India than in New Zealand. 1 week before they started to ask for presentations, will somebody tell these American companies we make it along the way? Particularly if you spend time in the advertising client business. And the even more difficult part is you can't even tell them, oh, I sent it by mail, must be a huge file. They are bloody Google. There is no escape from these guys. So we sent across something. I said, okay, here is what it will look like, but it will undergo changes as always. 2 days before, I got another mail saying, I need the final content by 5 p.m. today. Said, I'm going to see it for the first time only tomorrow morning. So, and these are email trails, so you can, after a few years, all documents become disclosable, even military secrets. So you'll get to see what all happened in IPL 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, hopefully many years into the future. Having said that, thank you. It got a little more discipline in us. And I'm delighted to be here. So this deck, this next 10, 15 minutes is going to be about television. These guys spoke a lot of numbers, millions, billions, so many people, so many hours, etc., etc. But guys, I can tell you, television is not going anywhere. In India, it is only growing. I've got to size them up at some point in time that they'll start to bid those $2 billion for our rights. So that's the pitch that I have for the next 15 minutes or so. So those things that are on purpose badly arranged is not true. I'll reorganize it before I leave. Okay? So that's where we are headed over the next 10, 15 minutes. So what is IPL in the context of Indian cricket? Sure, a lot of people said a lot of things. There was a lot of drama and, you know, some wisecracks, etc., etc. To us, at least from a federation standpoint, IPL has a reason to exist. What in Sanskrit it reads, Yatra Pratibha Avsara Prapnotihi, which is where talent meets opportunity. That's the whole reason for existence of IPL. It's an inscription in the trophy. It's what we live by, what we are guided by. It's a platform where youngsters get an opportunity to work with the best, play with the best, play against the best, be coached by the best, and play against 40, 50, 60,000 prying eyes, scoring at 8 runs and over, 7 runs and over, and they go out and deliver it. Today, if people know the 15 members who are selected for the Indian team, it's because they've possibly seen them in action at some point in time. There was no surprise when a Bhuvaneshwar Kumar gets chosen or a Shami Ahmed gets chosen or a Rahul Sharma gets picked for the national side. There is There is something which is the pipeline that's coming through. Two, we need to bring newer audience to the game. It's a one country sport, as people keep reminding us often, but the truth is the television audience is fickle, or the viewing spectator is fickle. They will go after Barcelona today, or Manchester United tomorrow, or the all-time greatest club ever to exist, Liverpool. Okay. So the big task for us is, how are we ensuring we are bringing newer audience? Are we delivering a newer audience every year? Are we doing something which will bring in the new audience? Those are critical measures for us as administrators of the game to help grow the sport. Those are the two so-called vision piece that we need to present. Okay. Millions, billions, this is goddamn television. Okay, there you go. All of you, read those numbers. I'll ask questions at the end of it. Okay? This is numbers out of major sporting events in the world. If you look at the blue bar, it's IPL delivered around 2.5 billion eyeballs, and that was 2012 edition, on television only in India. This doesn't include any of the overseas markets. 2.5 billion eyeballs only in India is bloody big. Is very big. The truth is, how can we make it bigger? How can we be one of the more compelling sports across the world that is important for the game to bring in newer audience and newer fans, and for the advertisers and their representatives who are here, because you are reaching out to a different segment of the audience. So it's a mass sport, but it cuts across classes, age groups, socioeconomic strata, etc., etc. That's important for us. If you look at these numbers, you can wonder, so what more is required from this? When we went back to 2010, our then rights holders, through them, there was a landmark deal that happened in what I believe, which transformed sports broadcasting at that point in time. It was significant in more ways than one, because we had a platform which our learned friends from YouTube spoke a little back about. 2008 we launched, and I must tell you this story. I'm told I have 2.5 minutes, but I'm going to stretch my time, okay? I was also told the next speaker is delayed, so I was asked to hold fort. I was asked one fine morning saying, okay, get to the US tomorrow. So what? So get to the US tomorrow. Where? Get to San Bruno. We've done this deal with YouTube, so we need to go and tell them what all we need to do. And this was after a reasonably difficult year in South Africa, where I went with one pair of jeans and one change clothes, hoping to come back, figuring out whether we'll host IPL in South Africa or in England, and came back after 90 days. I did buy some clothes there. It was incredible for us to come back to India and say, oh, finally we'll do something which is great in India. And in 2010, we had this big year. We're doing too many things, and there's a lot of stuff that was happening because we were excited to be back in India. So I carted myself on this 16.5-hour flight from Dubai to over the North Pole, landing somewhere in San Bruno. Every time I asked the air hostess, she said, there's 4 more hours to fly, sir. So this is the longest bloody flight that is not advised for anyone. Only to go to the YouTube office, said, okay, we are excited. And we had a multicultural set of people who showed us their cafeteria, which was great. They showed us the big conference room. We sat there. And we had a Chinese, Japanese, American, Korean, Englishmen, of course, and a few Desis. We were talking about IPL, giving them a background. This is what we can do. This is what we need to do. After 15 minutes of our passionate spiel on what we can do with IPL as a content, there was a nice confabulation amongst those set of people. They look very similar like that, It was zeros and ones. They were talking in Boolean language, which you couldn't get head or tail of it. At the end of it, one, I think, American stood up and said, so, this is what you want us to deliver. I said, deliver? No, we are engineers. We put it through. You show what you want. Our job is to get it out. I said, guys, we just gave you the most passionate speech about content. And to hear 2 years later, all these wonderful stuff, you guys have come a really long way. Thank you for that. At least I hope my next trip to San Bruno or the Valley is going to be far more content based than what it was the last time around. But having said that, in those 20 days, what we did was mind boggling, even for us. It was for the first time an entire sporting event was taken live on YouTube. The one other big event, if I remember it right, that they did was the U2 concert, which was, I think, 3 hour, 4 hour concert that happened. This was for the first time an entire sporting event which was going to be live and from a country where internet connectivity was through dongles. So we were obviously at some point in time wondering, have we bitten off more than we could chew? We said, okay, let's go with it still. What we did was very interesting that time. And it taught us a few things. I'm sure we're all richer by what we have had as experience in the past. The big challenge for us to make it relevant for the television audience. I said television is growing, not going. If you look at the television audience, there was a holdback period for the Indian market. So it is what was in the contracts where you cannot show live for Indian audience. You can show only with a 5-minute holdback. So typically taken over. Why should a guy sitting in India watch a 5-minute delayed live sporting content? Sports is supposed to be live, and in a T20 game, the over could have changed the match. So it was important for us to figure out the reasons why we need to do what we needed to do. When I saw the charts earlier, it said 4 out of 10 people were from outside the US. We have to, outside the Indian market for IPL, it is important for us to have the 6 people find relevance to that content on why they should watch. 2, we had to make it engaging for the internet viewer. I'm watching it on television. It's live there. Why should I, boot my machine and watch it on YouTube? What's the big reason for me, particularly if it's a live sporting event? Then we hit upon this piece called the IPL Fun Feed. Actually, that was our initiative. These 2 guys have gone. It was our initiative to find replacements for these guys. Said, let's have a hunt where we could do away with the Kochers and the Khuranas and the Kapoors. We had 4 different anchors doing what was called as Fun Feed that time. Obviously, it could have been better nomenclature, but what is interesting about the Fun Feed is IPL is as much about what happens on the field as it happens in the stands, in the galleries. What people miss is with our vision mixer sitting and looking at 30 different camera angles and putting together one feed for you, which you get to see as a television feed, there are 30 other feeds providing interesting pictures. So somebody is doing something or the other. And we have this eclectic bunch of owners and very interesting bunch of fans who are sitting there and doing different things. So we said our restriction does not allow us to show the live game from a right standpoint. Let's overcome that. Let us show live what happens when the game is on amongst the fans. So as a viewer, you could boot your machine, look at what's happening from a standpoint of the fan. So there was this interesting situation where I think KKR, one of those years for KKR, where Juhi, who's one of the co-owners, was sitting. So this girl went, one of the anchors went and said, I want to do a chat with you while the game is on. So she was saying, no, I don't want to do it now. It was a tense moment. They were chasing some 140, 160, whatever, the opposition team. And suddenly when she went, they got a wicket. So Juhi didn't let this girl go from there after that. So you see, you will stand here till the time we win this game. That's the level of superstition that happens in our business. So what was interesting is we found a way for the fans to get engaged with live television, watching it on television, while watching it on the internet, the reactions and the responses of the owners, of the fans, of the cheerleaders, of the DJs, and who have you at the stadium. So this was a fan cam. This was very interestingly done. We had hosts, and this was not an easy job because these guys go on a commercial break. On YouTube, there are no commercial breaks. Remember, you can skip ads. And these people, poor girls, they had to do 3.5 hours of non-stop conversations with different people because you cannot go off camera for that period of time. It was a difficult job. Leaving the logistics aside, what was the challenge for us is how can you make 3 hours of interesting content? It's not Baumgartner jumping, you can keep watching it. This is, you have to keep conversations alive. And this is where the innovation started to come in, the thought of content started to flow for everyone. Over the years, we've done tremendous number. We have good partners in Times Internet, and we worked through with them, who have worked with YouTube for the last couple of years, and I'm delighted to know that they're going to work with them again for this year. And we believe every year we will only scale newer heights. So 27 went to 40, went to 50, and these are only YouTube numbers. This doesn't include the live feed on India Times that happens. So over 100 million views delivered is good news for us, for a country which is not necessarily, what should I say, 3G or LTE or edged in that sense. What it also did, it reached out to a newer, younger demographic. Part of our goal, what we needed to do, we realized, hey, here is a pot of gold which we could actively engage. 40% of them were between 15 and 34. So typical advertisers target, it's great news, it's great audience, as long as you get the content right. From a standpoint of delivering the second screen experience, we started to make that larger. So we started off with Fun Feed, which was what you see in the stadium, what you don't get to see when the game is on. We started to do these polls, which was interesting. I think this was last year's number. We had 27 million polls that happened. What's interesting is this is not something that just happens on television. While you're watching your live television or delayed television, wherever you are, on YouTube, you have everything that you need in terms of your social interactivity that you can. You can tweet about it, you can viral content, you can vote, you can do your Google+, all of that. So your social media destinations are not far away. They're just as icons right at the top of the content. So what is important for you is to look at how we can engage as content if you have a bright, sparkling idea. So if you look at it, 27 million was exciting. We started to do that even with Twitter in terms of playing it out on live. So suddenly people started to see their names, tweets being read out by people. That's interesting. So you could sit on one screen, watch content, tweet about it, watching it on television. So that's as multi-screen as you can get. So it's just not about viewing content, sharing content in a standpoint of you're forwarding. You are actually engaging with what's happening in a live game. And this can happen only with live television. It can happen only with live sport, so be it on internet. So there's nothing that's stopping us tomorrow from doing a specific Twitter feed or Twitter or a social media engagement which is read out only on YouTube. There's nothing which is stopping people from saying, okay, here is a screen where the match is live, 15 of you become commentators for the game. So you could choose anyone's audio. So we'll ensure these guys can't participate. It's important for you to figure out how you can leverage that content. And these are interesting stuff which we started to do. So from our limited experience, what we believe worked for us is just not content, it's content plus. What can you do with it? What can you do with that content? Because you can't change the content that's live sport. You got to figure out what you can do around it. Work aggressively to engage across multiple platforms. If there is a way to get across to the consumer, to get him or her excited about the content, therefore you want to share, you want to interact, you want to post questions. Of late, you would have started to see questions, ask Sunny, ask Ravi, kind of questions that happen on live television. That's our way of driving up the medium. To me, there will be a day in the future, not so distant, where the rights for this is going to be bid for from a telecom company, from a distribution company, from a YouTube, Google, or a television broadcaster. Television broadcasters have long not leveraged the internet as a platform or the live video on the internet as a platform. We believe that day is not too in the distant future. You can already see the trends that's happening. BT started to bid for premiership rights. There's interesting stuff that's happening from a telecom company. So it's important for you as advertisers to start looking at how you can leverage this medium. And here is content that can allow you to do that. Any questions, you can ask those too. Okay? Thank you.